Teaching English learners as students and as participants in a broader constitutional and cultural story is a personal objective of mine as an educator of theater and the humanities. Classifying students as English language learners carries legal, relational, and humanistic weight. Culture is not an accessory to learning or a momentary administrative social experiment. It is the foundation of student self-actualization and community integration. From a humanities perspective, this is about dignity, equity, and the promise of public education. When students feel emotionally safe and valued, they are more willing to take risks with language and learning. When schools recognize cultural influences on teaching and learning, they affirm that education is a relational act. Cultural competence is the educator's ongoing ability to learn about students' cultural backgrounds, reflect on personal bias, and adapt instruction so students' traditions, languages, and beliefs are viewed as assets rather than deficits. For English learners, this means integrating bilingual texts, oral histories, artistic expression, and community traditions into the curriculum and assessments. Culture is expressed through stories, beliefs, rituals, and collective memory in the humanities. Integrating English learners' cultural values might include inviting students to share family narratives, using literature from students' cultures, or designing projects that connect classroom content to community practices. Inclusive environments display home languages, celebrate diverse holidays, and encourage translanguaging so students can use all their linguistic resources. Students engage in educational partnerships shared with family and instructors when they feel emotionally safe and culturally responsive classrooms. A daily 5-minute translanguaging check-in at the beginning of every class period allows students to share one idea in their home language. At the same time, the teacher paraphrases it in English and records a key vocabulary word for the class word wall or a group Google slide portfolio. In the fine arts and humanities classrooms, this may look like English learners presenting in their first language while English-speaking peers read subtitles. This exercise allows classmates to feel the discomfort of not fully understanding, mirroring the daily experience of English learners. From a theater arts perspective, this evokes empathy through role-playing and embodied experience, making cultural differences visible and empowering student voice. Research on humane pedagogy emphasizes that belonging is a socially constructed classroom experience, and that inclusive teaching creates a safe learning environment that promotes respect and collaboration. Every English learner embodies multiple identities: linguistic, cultural, social, and sometimes special needs. Responsiveness requires educators to see students holistically and to design instruction that honors cultural identities, uses differentiated instruction, and targets scaffolding, visual supports, and co-planning with specialists to ensure language objectives align with content and individualized goals. Collaboration with special educators, speech language pathologists, and counselors ensures that ELs with disabilities receive coordinated support that addresses both language development and access to grade level content. The humanities emphasizes empathy and relationality. Meeting social and emotional needs means building trust, offering peer mentoring, and creating predictable routines that honor cultural norms that are familiar to them. Although classroom procedures are logistical, they are also in place to ensure ethical commitments that communicate respect. When routines reflect students' cultural expectations, students experience school as a place of belonging and are more likely to persist through linguistic challenges. One example is using collaborative, community-oriented routines in classrooms, such as meet and greet, and engaging in interpersonal communication using a sentence stem, a quote on the whiteboard, or an escape room game that closes the class session. These activities value culture that engage in collective problem solving. Research on culturally responsive teaching emphasizes that routines should reflect students' cultural identities and shared values to foster safety, predictability, and the sense of belonging. Co-planning with special education caseworkers aligns a student's IEP language objective with classroom language goals, providing extended processing time, use of bilingual assistive technology, or visual schedules so students can readily access instruction while developing English proficiency. Families and communities are the first and most enduring teachers. Scholars describe these as funds of knowledge, the cultural and intellectual resources families bring to schooling. From a humanities lens, these are living archives of tradition, skills, and wisdom. When schools invite families to share stories, crafts, or practices, they transform education into a partnership. Strategies to build strong partnerships include bilingual family nights, translated and multimodal communication, home visits or community-based meetings, and partnerships with local cultural centers. Effective family engagement treats families as co-authors of learning by offering concrete ways to support language development at home, such as family reading routines in any language, home-based vocabulary activities, and simple project prompts that connect school learning to family expertise. Inclusive community engagement practices involve accessible meeting times, childcare, and culturally relevant outreach so all families can participate. When families feel respected and included, students experience continuity between home and school, and that accelerates language growth and promotes well-being. When families and schools collaborate with empathy and mutual respect, students gain emotional security that supports sustained language practice and academic risk-taking. Classifying students as English learners carries legal and moral obligations, but it also invites us to honor culture, language, and identity. By practicing cultural responsive teaching, supporting diverse needs with coordinated services, and building authentic homeschool partnerships, we move from compliance to care and from deficit thinking to asset-based practice. Here are 3 quick takeaways. Teaching takeaway. Use daily translanguaging check-ins to normalize home language and build vocabulary. Classroom routine takeaway. Co-plan culturally responsive procedures and align IEP language goals with classroom objectives. Family partnership takeaway. Host bilingual family loteria nights and treat families as co-authors of learning in a recreational environment. Thank you for being a part of the conversation, and thank you for caring about our English learners.